Hello, hello. This is Yuri of Moving Sales Professionals and Let's Talk Moving podcast. And with me today, I have Zane Ponsetti, owner of Wildcat Movers and Pro Mover University. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. So, Zane, how did you get into the moving industry?
My first step in the moving industry, I was working for a small mover, one truck with a trailer guy in Midland, Texas, when I was 16 years old. So I learned a little bit there. And then when I was in college at Texas A&M in College Station, I one summer bought a 16-foot trailer. I pulled it with my Bronco. I was just doing some delivery, found a couple little furniture stores that let me do deliveries. I think I was doing one bedroom apartment moves for like 125 flat rate, 175 flat rate. I had no idea about marketing or sales or anything like that. One thing I used to do back then was print off these little quarter page flyers and just go flyer thousands of cars at the university to get these cheap little moving jobs, stuff like that. Yeah, and then just started growing that location. Got up to about three trucks in the summertime, very seasonal college town and College Station. And then opened my second location in Dallas a little too soon, like a lot of movers out there, trying to thinking if you can open a second location, you'll double. And it doesn't really quite work like that. But luckily, I picked one of the best metro areas for moving in the country, Dallas. And it became pretty evident pretty quickly that was where we needed to focus. So closed my first location in 2016, and now here we are. We've got 13 trucks in Dallas. We're shooting for 15 before next summer. I've got three new trucks on order. Fantastic staff, and yeah, been a fun ride.
And now for a word from our sponsors. If you're a moving business owner, you may have already heard of Moversville, an email marketing service that helps moving companies increase, repeat, and referral business. But have you heard of Moversville Connect? Moversville Connect is an incredible resource for all things moving. They feature an array of vendors and services that cater specifically to the moving industry. You can find companies that provide moving software, moving sales services, marketing services, moving equipment providers, and much, much more. Visit moversville.com today to learn more. That's fun. Now, you were telling me before we started recording this that you are a remote owner, correct? So you're not actually in Texas.
Correct. I live in Durango, Colorado now. I moved out of Texas in 2019. So I've been a remote owner for 4 years. And we've actually had a ton of success since I've left. We've actually tripled the size of our business since in the last 5 years since I've moved to Colorado. Yeah. And I mean, if you have any other questions about that, I'd be happy to
Yeah, so what
elaborate.
is your key to being a successful remote owner? Because with me talking to a lot of movers and working with a lot of movers, I've met a few that tried it and it didn't work out so well, or a few that are still trying it and are having a hard time. So what is your secret?
I think, before I went remote, I was doing this for 12 years and I really learned the business from the bottom up. I was on the trucks for the first 6 years full time. I was on and off the truck for 2, 3 years after that. And so, even when we were smaller, only a few $100,000 a year, I really built strong processes, operational oversight, strong sales processes. We've been a premium moving service for a very long time now, so we've always been kind of on the higher end as far as rates, and so that allowed us to be very profitable even at a lower revenue level. And I think we just built a really great infrastructure all the way up to $1 million in sales so that once I left at that point, everything was pretty rock solid. I think we were a lot further along than most other companies once they hit the $1 million in sales mark. And so we have manuals for every position in our company has a employee manual. Our accountability structures are very sound. We pay our people really good. Again, that's part of being a premium service is that we bring in enough money to be able to pay managers well, to pay our movers really well. We have really nice trucks. So I think we just had a really good infrastructure when I left. I think also just technology in general. I don't know being a remote owner, 10 years ago would have been a lot harder. Now we have, smart moving, we have Samsara, we have off cameras in the office. We have Ring Central where every phone call is recorded. We have Live Switch where every virtual estimate is recorded. There's just so many pieces of technology that I think that technology is paramount whether you're remote or not. But so many owners don't fully utilize those things, and I think leveraging that technology it holds people accountable, and you're able to double check and also train. It allows you to drivers on the road. Like after we got Samsara, we immediately started checking all the harsh events, and our incidents on the road have decreased. With sales, being able to record all their video calls and their phone calls, again, it just creates more opportunity for accountability. It also helps keep our customers accountable.
Right.
They'll say, oh, on the sales call, your sales guy said
Yep.
XYZ,
Right.
and we can pull that call, send it to them, and be like, well, actually, we said this and you said this, and now this is where we stand. So,
Right.
uh,
Yeah, I think it's important to stand by your people
yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
because the problem is that we customers often, as we know, are not exactly the kernels of truth. If they think that they can get some extra money out of it or they can get something out of it, they tend to throw movers under the bus, salespeople under the bus, and you got to be confident in your people. And your people will appreciate it that much more and will work that much harder for you if they know that you have their interest in mind, not just your money all the time. At the end of the day, they are going to end up making you more money than you would have otherwise.
I agree with that.
Does your company need more creative marketing and ad campaigns to improve traffic and organic leads? Well, Moving Sales Professionals has a solution for you. We have partnered with social media marketing agency that has over 300 million views on their ads and videos across social media, and they have generated over $35 million for their clients over the last 10 years alone. Their services include content creation, social media ads, pay-per-click campaigns, website and funnel development, Google Ads, email marketing campaigns, lead generation, and much, much more. For limited time only, they have discounted rates for their services. Sign up for a free consultation call with us via our Calendly link on our website or below this video. So no, that's awesome. Now let me ask you this. You said technology, technology, technology. So would you say are you the type of owner that has to have his finger on the pulse all the time, or is a mixture of being able to look at that stuff and having a really good, like a strong operations manager in place that's basically running the the show for you that you can trust to do what he's supposed to or she's supposed to?
I'm not in the business hardly at all. Typically, what I'm looking at is KPIs and looking when we see a deviation on something, then I'll dig into it. Particularly my operations team, my office manager, he's been with me 10 years. My operations manager has been with me 6 years. And then his two subordinates have been with us like 3 and 6 years. So our operations team is super strong. I think that's another thing. I have very loyal people. They make good money. They believe in the brand. And so, no, I'm kind of now at the point of just looking for tweaks. Our sales team is a little newer. So that's kind of where sales and marketing is where I've spent a lot of time this year. I'm also still primarily I guess I kind of run the marketing side of things still. So that's kind of where I spend most of my time. And so I'm looking for things, conversion rate, stuff like that, trying to find, certain people that are maybe slipping
Mhm.
and like maybe once a month I go in and watch calls
Mhm.
or video or live switch videos. But no, primarily most of my people do a pretty good job and follow through on what they're supposed to.
Well, maybe we can help you on the sales side of things. But that's a conversation for off the call. But we can definitely talk about that if that's something that you'd be interested in, Zane. But now let's dig into a little bit into Pro Mover University. So how did that come about? What are the goals and objectives and what have you?
We initially set out to just film our company's own new mover training and store that internally, like on Google Drive. I have a freelance guy that does some photography, videography, some freelance marketing stuff. And so, anyways, he came out and filmed that. And when I saw it, I was like, man, this is really good. Maybe we could sell this. And so we went out, put it online, and kind of, started marketing it. And we got some really great feedback, because the big challenge is, it took us a long time to be able to get training furniture, have somewhere to store it, have a place to train. And a lot of smaller moving companies don't have that. So that was kind of how it started. And then one thing that we have that I don't think really exists out there is box truck driver training. So we wanted to film that, again, store it. It was still kind of at that time something we were trying to just keep that knowledge for our own uses and just put it out there in case anybody else found it useful. And then we just started getting feedback from people like, hey, we know you guys run a good company. What do your finances look like? What does your marketing look like? What does your sales look like? And so we started building additional modules on top of that. I break down a P&L. We have a finance module. I break down a P&L in there. I talk about pricing and how we do our pricing based off of what we pay our movers and what our trucks cost. So, the feedback I've got there is, I've had a couple of people say, hey, I've never seen another mover's P&L before. That's really cool that you just have that available in your course where we can see what your company actually does. We are currently releasing sub modules in our marketing module. I think they're almost all out, but I break down our marketing ROI report from a couple years ago or from 2023, just kind of showing what our marketing mix looks like. I've got a module in there for SEO, which I think is the most powerful of all the marketing sources for movers. It's something you definitely have to invest in and continue to invest in, but kind of
It's a long-term
so
structure in the SEO. A lot of people don't realize that it's not like don't if you just put money into SEO yesterday, it's not going to start working for you in a month. And
yeah,
then if you're making changes without consulting your SEO people first, like you change your location or you something like that, you do that without talking to them first, and you could throw all the work that they've done for you in the trash. So it's
yeah,
like there's a lot of it's a lot of work, and it's something that takes time to get you to a certain point. It's not an overnight thing, and it is an investment, and it is going to take time.
yeah. I do agree with that. I do think, though, focusing on content, and this is what we teach in our SEO module, but building out pages for cities, services, you can create a lot of content, like in Dallas, for example, like it took us a very long time to start ranking for a keyword term like Dallas movers. But there's smaller cities, 10, 20, 50,000 people cities where you can start ranking pretty quickly. And you've got to really start getting those wins, and then you'll kind of snowball that. Those also go in conjunction with your Google business profile, your Google Maps profile. That to me is the easiest, lowest hanging fruit that a lot of people don't take advantage of. Getting reviews, you're already doing a good job for your customers. Why not get a review from those customers and review fetching and just building out that profile? It's not rocket science. You just name, phone number, address, make sure they're consistent across all the platforms, and get reviews and build a good profile with a lot of photos. And that's the easiest, cheapest way to start getting leads.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to take advantage of the tools that are available to you. So it's like build up your social media pages, but build up your Google. There's a lot of things that you can do without, frankly, without them costing you a lot. But you gotta,
Yep,
one of the main things is being consistent with it. Like take this podcast, for example, right? We're consistent. We're releasing an episode every single Monday, nonstop. We're over 100 episodes at this point, right? But
that's
it's
awesome.
about consistent. You got to build it to that point. If you take a week off or a month off, you can't do that because you're going to lose what you built to that point. So you can't stop doing what you're doing, and you got to do it through all the platforms that are available to you. And like I said, a lot of these platforms are not expensive or even free, but you got to stay consistent.
I'll tell you one thing that we've started having success with, and I actually haven't shared this publicly yet.
Ooh,
We've been starting
something
to
new.
work with, it's not new, but it's new to us. It's
Right.
we've been working with some influencers, and we're starting to figure out how to work with influencers, how much we can discount their moves, how, and we've learned that we have to have a contract with these people if we're going to do a free move for them to give us Instagram video, TikTok video, and an Instagram story post. What we have found is that the number of followers isn't all that important. What's important is if they're a local influencer. So the influencer we've had the biggest bang for our buck was a girl that had about 100,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok, but all of her content is Dallas based, and she's not like a model or whatever you want to call them. She's not doing makeup or fashion. I mean, she does some of that, but it's all Dallas based. So one piece of advice, we've never been able to figure out social media like us posting. We can't generate good enough content or enough followers to make it worth our time. But what we're starting to do now is just leverage other people's audiences. And once you do a handful of those, now we have influencers hitting us up all the time. Are you guys willing to, trade, a post for a free move? And we've even just done discounts. Some people that have small followings we won't even completely comp the move. We might say, we'll give you a $500 credit and you cover everything else in exchange for this. And we're still in the early stages, but I think I've invested a few $1,000 in that. And we already have over $30,000 in revenue from that, which again, it's not game changing yet, but we're starting to see some traction with it. And I think after we do a few more, it could really start to compound.
Right, but what it's doing basically, it's dry. Once again, we're at this weird point where a lot of moving companies used to rely heavily on lead providers, and at this point, lead providers have gotten to the point of beyond horrible, where just the quality got so diluted that it's not worth what it's costing. And
Yep.
the best way to change that is to create more organic drive. And what you're doing with what you're talking about, using influencers and using other stuff, what you're creating is organic buzz, which is leading to in the long term. What you're doing now, even like you said, you're already seeing the bang for your buck because what you've invested, you're getting back more than what you've invested already. So once you take
Yep.
that even farther, organic drive, you can't beat it when people are contacting you. You just
Yep.
can't because if they like as a salesperson, if they're calling me, all I gotta do is show them that they shouldn't be talking to anybody else. By simply level of knowledge, level of the professionalism, level of the basically the company's quality, the value of the service, and everything else. You sell them on that, and they won't pick up the phone and call anybody else. They'll book with you right there and then.
Yep.
But
And like
yeah,
all leads aren't created equal. At our company, a repeat customer converts at 60%.
yeah.
A referral completes converts at 40%, and that number just keeps going down after that. We're a premium service. We are typically have the highest hourly rates in Dallas, so lead providers don't work for us at all. We've tried it a couple
Right.
times. They
Well,
don't work.
there's a reason they don't, because when you're like, this is one thing that you guys got to understand about lead providers, right? If I'm calling the company directly, the company's probably going to give me a higher rate. If the lead is coming from a lead provider, I know that that person is getting calls from anywhere from 3 to 7 different moving companies. So if I know that I'm competing with 3 to 7 moving companies, my price needs to be competitive with those. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my money. So if you are a company who provides premium service and your price reflects it, you don't want to be in the neighborhood when you're competing with 3 to 7 movers, because those
Yep.
movers are going to be much lower than you and your rate of return is not going to be worth it. Your focus needs to be on those people that are looking for the premium service and willing to pay for it.
Yep. And especially right now, we don't do PPC, we don't do Google Guarantee or local service ads, whatever you want to call it now. We don't do lead providers. And we were doing LSA earlier this year for 2 years prior to that. And what we saw was the cost was going up and the conversion was going down, and it became non-profitable for us. And right now, there's so many, the moving market is down, but it's not a huge decrease. But what's happening, I think, is that the big companies, they don't want to lose their market share. And so they're paying more and more and more per lead. And they're willing to break even or maybe even lose money on lead sources so that they can retain their market share. And you just can't compete with somebody, especially if you have a one location company. And those paid lead sources are getting lower and lower and lower ROI currently while the market's slower. And I think that's why in Pro Mover University, we don't have any courses on those type of things. We are only teaching stuff that we found to be profitable, that we're successful with, and we can show you how we were successful with it so you can implement it with your company.
So I don't think it's so much about market share. I agree with you because like if you have a larger market share or same market share, but as a result, you're less profitable than if you had a lower market share, then what's the point of having that larger market share? Just to say that you have a larger market share?
I see it all the time. There's so many people that aren't looking at each marketing
But
channel and the profitability of
I
it.
mean,
And yes, I've seen tons of people spend more on marketing just to keep their sales up and then lose more money. I
well,
see it. I
well,
talk to movers.
it's the same thing right now. Like I had 25 salespeople at one point last year, right?
Yeah,
I'm down to probably under 10 salespeople right now, right? But these 10 salespeople are high and salespeople. And they produce, between all of them, they are producing, frankly, more than the 25 I had last year. So I'm actually spending less money on labor force and gaining more money back towards the business and towards running everything else than I was when I had more people. It's kind of the same idea as when some people think that if they open up a second location, they're going to make more money, like what you alluded to before, right? And
yeah.
that's not always the case. You got to look at profit margins and everything else. So sometimes keeping your location smaller but more concentrated and focusing on the quality of service does better than you increasing the size of your operation.
I agree. I think looking at each marketing channel and where you're spending every month on those, and most CRMs like Smart Moving allow you to do that and tracking that. And once you see something go unprofitable, which for me, I want at least a four, if not a 5x, revenue on my marketing spend per channel. I don't look at it as an umbrella for the whole thing because like my Google channels, we only spend maybe 1 to 2% of what we bring in revenue on those channels. So I'm not just going to look at the whole marketing budget as saying, "Oh, I'm going to spend 10% of my revenue." Every marketing channel has to be profitable, or I cut it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's got to be that way. And I mean, sometimes you may revisit that channel again down the road and see if anything's changed, but ultimately it's got to make sense. If it's not making sense, you got to cut your losses sooner or later because I think as owners, it's the same goes with people that we bring on board. Sometimes because we're hoping that the time and the money that we invested in something or someone they're like, okay, this was profitable at one point. Sometimes we spend too much time letting that go. And we have to be ready to cut our losses sometimes. At least that's what I've come to over the years from when we started in 2018 to now. So running your own business. So you find yourself in that. Now, Zane, let me ask you this. So because a lot of good information, a lot of good content, but we can't do this forever or people won't listen to the whole thing, right? So we got to keep you guys interested. So what would you recommend to someone that's starting out today?
I think the number one thing that's been the most beneficial to my business is meeting other successful moving company owners and not just working in a silo. Whether it's reaching out to somebody in the city over from you and becoming friends, or sometimes it's even your competitors can be super helpful. I'm friendly with several other companies in Dallas, and just not trying to reinvent the wheel. There's also some great communities online, like on Facebook. There's Moving Company Owners Unite. There's tons of free information out there. Yeah, I would say starting and finding yourself a mentor that can kind of get you over the first couple of hurdles as quick as possible so then you can start scaling your business.
Yeah, I would agree. Well, Zane, thank you so much for joining us. This has been very interesting and very educational. Lots of good content, guys. So we'll make sure we put some links for Pro Mover University and the Wildcat Movers. So we have all that information so you guys can check it out. And like I always say, the world moves on its own, so let the professionals move yours for you. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, please subscribe, and please support us, and we'll talk again soon.